Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here on December 17th, 2025. It's the final show of the year, at least probably, unless everybody demands that we come back on December 24th and December 31st, which I don't think they will. Today's the day, the last show of 2025. Okay. You know, a few years ago, I took some advice from Rich, and I was going to buy a computer, and he said, buy a refurb. And I did, and I'm still using it. I'm very happy with it. But I bought a Windows. That was an HP. Okay. Tom said, for the price for $1,000, a MacBook will blow you away. Rich and Mario both agreed. What do you think?
So I come from a computer science background. So I used to work on computers, and Windows is basically what I mostly used on my way up the corporate ladder, we'll say. Since joining Indeed, I had to use a Mac. What you can do in the speed of a Mac just blows the pants off of, and reliability. And just the way they're designed is it just runs way more quicker, way more reliable. I'm still using my former Indeed laptop that they gave us as when we were impacted in 2023, and I'm still using it, and it flies. I have some of the consulting I do, or some of the more recent places I worked, they have Windows machines, and they do not work. They're slower, and they are more clunky, and everything's done in the Microsoft environment. And I mean, you can still get work done, don't get me wrong, but it's nothing.
Give me an example of something being slower and something being clunky.
Windows machines. So a Windows machine, let's say I have a lot of web browsers open and a lot of tabs. And one of the things that you have to do on a Mac all the time is you always have to update and refresh and restart and all that. Mac machine, in some cases, I didn't restart my Mac or anything in like months or years. I literally close it down, open it back up, and it's ready to go right where I left off.
Okay. There's a guy, Salem Technologist or something. I watch him sometimes on YouTube, and he shows how he repairs computers.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a huge fan of the old ThinkPads, and I have one. Okay, I bought it from a guy on Facebook. So he's a huge fan of old ThinkPads. He says they don't break, and they're made for business. They're very reliable.
Yes. So for Windows machines, the IBM ThinkPad is by far the best one, I would say.
Okay. Now, this is a Rich one. These are comments I saw from Rich. He said, Pin, pin.com. He said, Pin has made him a huge amount of money this year. Okay. And he says, it saves me a ridiculous amount of time. Okay. Have you tried Pin?
Yep, I use Pin. It's a very very good tool.
Tell us how you use it.
So Pin uses AI, so you can do it two ways. You can basically talk to it and say, "Hey, I need a salesperson in Boston that sells for the SaaS industry, and is with a startup, and someone that has 5 years of sales experience and experience working with Salesforce, and is able to cold call and get new business." And it will generate a list of candidates for you. And you basically can go through the candidates, and let's say that someone has too much experience or has irrelevant industry experience. And the more you kind of like give it feedback on the candidates that it found, it makes adjustments to its search algorithm, and it will return a slate of candidates that gets better as you go through it. You can also create messaging campaigns through it. You can have it do text. You can have it do LinkedIn connections. It does a lot of stuff.
Do you pay for it yourself, or do you have your employer?
I do pay for it myself.
How much is it costing you?
Well, I got it early on, so I think I got it for $174 a month.
And you think it's worthwhile? Like, let's say $200 a month.
any tool that you use, I think you should always demo it first to see if it works for you, because not every industry. I know people that have used it that said it doesn't work well for their industry. So before you invest,
Gavin, can you remember any examples? I've had that experience with some of those sorts of
construction was the industry. The person that used it said that it didn't work well for them. It would definitely be one of the tools I would recommend that someone has on their list to try out to see if it works for their industry and their niche. Because I do think it has a lot of potential. I just don't know, again, every niche that it'll work for. Does that make sense?
Okay. This woman, she said, we use Pin and Juicebox instead of LinkedIn. Can you get away with Pin and no LinkedIn?
I don't think it's wise for someone just to throw LinkedIn out the window, because there's so many users on there and it's been around for 20 plus years. So there's people I know that have moved entirely away from it. And I know there's people that left it and went back to it because they couldn't get the volume of candidates that they needed to fill their role.
Okay, so you're saying Pin, and this other woman, Bridget, said she tried Pin and it's pretty much the same as Seek Out.
It would be, so I would put Pin on par with the Seek Out, Juicebox, HireEasy. They do a lot of things, but they're not all the same. They all have little strengths and weaknesses. I'm a big fan of Seek Out. It's just very expensive, and for an individual to buy it themselves, it's not cost effective. So that's why I didn't go with Seek Out.
How much is Seek Out?
I think it was like $3,000 or something for a year.
Wow. And Tommy always recommends Sales SQL.
Well, that's different. Sales QL is a great contact finding tool. I use it. I do pay for that myself as well. Very, very affordable. Works really well for sales and finding contact and cell numbers, but it doesn't get them all. So you would need Sales QL as like your primary, and then another one is like a secondary.
Okay.
So I like the other one. I like is Wiza, W-I-Z-A.
W-I-Z-A. I haven't heard of that. What's so good about it?
It gets you personal cell phones, work emails, and personal emails.
How much?
Well, I pay for a monthly plan. I just do it like the cheapest. I think it's like $49 a month.
That sounds great.
Yeah. And it gives me like 100 lookups. But if you need more, it's very fast.
You only get 100 for that, eh? Oh,
that's what I get. But you could get more. I mean, if you need more than that, you can do custom plans too. I just pick the cheapest one because it's not my primary tool.
Okay, let's say you were choosing between the cheaper ones like Sales QL and Wiza. Which would you pick?
I would probably pick Sales QL first, just because it's cheaper and it works pretty well.
It's not much cheaper. It can't be much cheaper than what you said.
It is. It is. I get a 6-month plan, so I think it costs me like $200 for 6 months.
Let me see.
There's also ChatterWorks and Rocket Reach.
Rich used to talk about ChatterWorks all
ChatterWorks
the time.
and Rocket Reach are the other ones I would recommend too.
Why?
Just because they work well, and all these tools pull from similar data sources. They just operate differently, and some of them find better things for different industries. So,
okay. So you've had a lot of experience then using one of your tools. It doesn't work, and you go to the other one, right?
Yep. I go through. I have many other ones I do that with as well. That are what they call a freemium model, where you get X amount of tries or lookups in a month, because their intention is for you to buy it. Yep. Like if you needed a free one to try. Sales QL has a great free one. I think it's like 100 or 2 in a month you can look up, and it'll give you all the emails, but you can't get the cell numbers if you don't have the paid version.
Okay. What about though Jobin? People like that too.
Jobin has potential. I've demoed it a few times. It doesn't really work right now with my current setup, so it's not something I've worked with. But I know a lot of the folks that are on Tommy's show, they're a big fan of it, and they use it for a lot of their LinkedIn connections.
It's only $50
outreach.
a month, right?
Yeah, and it has a lot of potential. So if you don't have a big budget to work with, it would definitely be one I would try, because it's a lot more affordable than the HireEasys, than the Pins, than the rest of them. So it's definitely one I would check out.
What about this? Blank connection requests on LinkedIn perform best. You see people all over the place with this. Hey, take 15 minutes, do some research on somebody before you send them a request. for you want to speak to them, let's say a candidate or even a business development email, make sure they know that you've invested time in them. Now, other people say just send a blank. I mean, it's all over the place. Now, Rich would never spend 20 minutes before a call. Okay, what do you think? How much time should you spend?
If I'm like trying to connect with someone and I have no way to email them or whatever, and I tried all the other avenues, then I'll send them a connection request and say, hey, I'm a recruiter in this, wanted to connect with you about this job, right? Letting them know I read their background, understand why, and if they're interested, they say yay. If not, they block it. But a lot of times they'll say thanks, but I'm not looking, or they'll schedule time to chat.
Okay, I got a real session here with our good friend up in heaven, David M. Marr, and he ran through a whole bunch of contact finders that he uses, and he said SalesQL is probably, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, SalesQL is probably the most basic one, especially if you're on a limited budget, that you should use. And that's the one you promote the most, Tommy. Would you agree with David M. Marr about that?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean,
No, fine. Well, fine. Come on, answer the question. Is it a fundamental one that if someone is just buying a contact finder and has a limited budget, they should use? What was the price you quoted there, Dave? $200?
Oh, it's $40.
I pay like two something for 6 months.
Tom's busy. Tom, why don't you just say, look, Recruiting Animal, I'm too busy to focus on what I'm talking with you about, okay?
Sorry.
I showed up,
Sorry.
but I'm doing something else. Okay, David M. Marr, we'll just sideline that guy, okay? You and I will continue, okay? So what about blank connection requests, David M. Marr? People, I've seen more than one person. That's what they promote. It goes against what I think is rational and what you just said you use. The argument,
I do it both ways.
No, let me finish now, okay? The argument there is that you're on LinkedIn. If they want to know who you are, they just have to click your name, okay? You don't have to tell them anything in the message. Okay, now you go. Go ahead, David M. Marr.
I use both approaches. I do sometimes send blank ones, but I do also send targeted ones.
How do you decide which one I'm going to send blank and which
so
one?
When I write a message, it's usually when I'm like, let's say I have no other way of connecting with a candidate, and I'm saying, hi, I'm trying to reach out to you to connect, regarding a XYZ job or whatever. And if they're interested, then they'll respond. If not, then they don't. So it's my way of getting a message to them when I have no other way. Otherwise, if it's someone that's like I met at a conference or something, I might say, hey, we met at XYZ conference, let's connect. But then again, sometimes I just send it blank. It just depends on time.
Okay. What about this? These are my favorite. Rob Reiner, what a tragedy. He got killed by his son. Okay. Trump put out a posting about it famously where he said Rob Reiner was a bad guy. Okay. But he shouldn't have got killed this way. If you had a candidate, you did a search and you saw your candidate was liking Trump's or reposting Trump's comment on that, would you hesitate to send that person out? Because your own client could also do a search on the name and see that your guy is so partisan.
But if someone shared it and liked it, was like, hey, check this out. I would be like, you're a fucking asshole. This is stuff
but would you send him or her out to your client?
I would not send him out. Money's better than ego, but there's a line, and that's a line. That's just me. That's me.
Okay, hold on. No. So you're not worried about the client seeing that the person endorsed the president. You're worried. You just feel this. I don't like this guy, and I'm going to forfeit any money that I'm going to make off him.
I don't know if I saw a guy with some Nazi, post or something, right?
This is not the same level of.
No, I'm not saying it's the same. I'm saying there are lines, right? There are lines that I draw. Don't let your politics get in the way of you being successful, right? So I try not to look at their Facebook profiles, right, and stuff like that. But if it was front and center on LinkedIn or something like that, yeah, absolutely, I'm kicking that guy. Like I would not deal with people for certain stuff.
I think that what he's saying is correct. Like if somebody's a bad individual, you don't want to be associated with that because, it's not.
The president of the United States posted it. Okay,
but he's not going to be our candidate. If somebody posted that, foolishly on LinkedIn and said some stupid stuff or whatever that was like way out of line, they wouldn't be a candidate.
Okay. What about this? You tell a candidate that you're going to market her. You'd say, look, I'd like to call a bunch of companies to see if they might be interested in you. You tell the candidate, look, I'm going to call some companies on your behalf. Okay. And do you tell her, hey, don't go out looking on your own? Do you tell her that? Anybody?
If you're okay, yeah, absolutely, right. So the thing would be, if you're going to get an NPC and you're going to talk with them like, I want to make a job change, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to be doing this, right? If you're going to be looking for jobs and applying on your own, then I'm not helping you. I don't have fucking time to fight against free is better than fee, right? So if someone wants me to market them, when I market an NPC, it's not an out of work person. It's someone who's gainfully employed that says, Tom, I want to make a move and I'm relying on you to do that for me.
Okay, but they're looking at the ads, right? Do you tell them, look, if you see an ad, you call me. Don't apply on your own.
And that's the conversation you're supposed to have, right? You're supposed to sit down and talk with them and say, okay, now this is what I want you to do. Give me a list of maybe 4 or 5 companies you love to work for. And I didn't know that if it's my niche. And then I may say, hey, keep your eye out. If you see any ads, if you see anything that looks cool, you hear about an opening, just let me know and I'll get you in there. And if I can't,
Tommy, if I go in directly, they're looking. They're more likely to hire me.
I guess you don't trust me, and we're not going to work together. Go find another recruiter.
It's not a matter of me not trusting you.
Go find another recruiter. You work my way, or we don't work at all. It's that simple. I'm not going to have this fucking argument with a candidate, and that's why I don't deal with candidates who are looking. The candidates that I market, trust me. They call me and they say, Tom, I want to make a job change. I know you know everybody in the market. Help out. Okay,
but would you specifically say, if you see an ad, don't apply, okay? You see an ad,
I will tell them to call
me.
I will tell them to call me. If I can get you in, I will. If I can't get you in, then go apply. I have no problem with that. I would never prevent anyone from getting a job, but give me a chance first. If I can't get you an interview, if I can't get you in, then yeah, go ahead and apply.
I think it's going to be a painful decision for the candidate.
If I have a candidate that's like, hey, Tom, I'm going to make a move. I'm gainfully employed, right? And that we start talking about that. We're talking about where do you want to work? Who do you want to work with? If you see ads, let me know. And then I say to them, and I'll do everything in my power to get you an interview Google. If I cannot, then go ahead and apply to them. But give me a chance first. That's all. That's all I ask, because I'm working on your behalf, and you're not fucking paying me, bro. So if you go and apply and you get hired, I get nothing. Do you understand that?
I like that phrase, fee or free.
Free is better than fee any day. I say that to clients all the time. Look, Bob, I know I'm expensive. I know free is better than fee any day. If you're going to hire someone from on your own, let me know that. Do that first before I waste my time trying to help you. Because free is better than fee.
Okay. Here's one similar to what we were just talking about. You're doing a search for, and it's not a retained search. It's a contingent search for a client. You find a good candidate, Betty. You say, Betty, I need to do a phone screen with you. When do you have time? She says Tuesday. Okay. By the time you call Betty for Tuesday your phone screen, she tells you, you know what? Your client called me, and you didn't tell the client about her. The client just came upon her by some other means, a personal referral or something like that. But the client is already in touch with her. You found her first, or got in touch with her first. But
when did I call her, and when did I schedule the call for Tuesday? What day did I call her that I said I'll call her on Tuesday?
Friday.
So on Friday, I hang up the phone. I go to her LinkedIn. I download her LinkedIn profile. I take the conversation we had. I put the notes together. I send it to the client and say, hey, check out who I found. We're having a conversation on Tuesday. I think she's a great candidate. Do you know her? Know anything about her? If not, let me know. I'm going to talk to her on Tuesday. I'll get the resume and a full we're up. Have a great weekend.
Okay.
That's it.
So hold on a sec. So you take some insurance. You protect yourself for the.
I've done this 100 fucking times. 100 times.
Okay. Dave, what do you think?
I like his approach.
But if you found out that the client had spoken to her in the interim before you got there, would you back to the client and say, look, you owe me a fee because I spoke to her before you did, right?
Okay, so that's a really touchy situation, and a lot of recruiters fall into this. If you didn't hedge your bets, if you called the candidate on Friday morning and said, "Hi, my name is Tom Lashley. I'm wonderful and great. Got a position that's wonderful and great," and they're like, "Hey, that sounds awesome."
But she didn't know the company either. Okay, so when the client called
I'm just
her, she
saying,
didn't.
I can't talk till Tuesday, right? And you go, "Great," and hang up the phone and go to the bar, and then somebody over the weekend, something happens. You got no fucking recourse, man. You're working contingency. You're being stupid. You're not hedging your bets, right? That's your own fault.
Okay, I agree that you don't have a claim on the
No, and that I get so mad at recruiters that try to wiggle through like you didn't do anything. You didn't do a god darn thing.
No, you did a lot, but you're not going to get paid for it. That's
you didn't interview them. You didn't screen them. All you did was get their name, and then you'd expect to get paid because you talked to the person for 10 minutes and set up a screening call for Tuesday, and you want a $25,000 fee.
You know what? It might have been a lot of work to find that, to source that person. Okay,
It might have been
I'm not going to agree with you.
If it was that much work, then they should have hedged their bets. They should have said, "God, I've been working."
Okay,
on this
well,
for 3
they
weeks.
just didn't
Hey,
protect
Animal, look at
themselves.
this great candidate I'm talking to on Tuesday to protect yourself.
Okay, what about this? This is real. Okay, it might not sound like it, but Rochester is not far from here, but we say it differently than the people who live there. Okay, I say in Upper New York State, we say Rochester. They say Rochester. It's an ugly kind of accent, and they do it in other words too. Okay, are you guys following me? Do you understand what I'm talking about? The Rochester
all my
accent.
relatives call it water instead of water, and they call it wash instead of wash.
Where are they from?
Baltimore. That's Baltimore speak, hon. You're gonna fall down, hit your head on the cement. You gotta call the ambulance. We're gonna go see the Oreos, maybe go see the Baltimore Coats. Hold
on, educate people.
Wash my clothes and get some water and put my keys on the bureau.
That's how they talk in Maryland?
My dad was vice president of Joseph Banks Clothiers, and I'll go and visit him, and he's like, "Hey, do you want a glass of water? Hey, did you wash your clothes yet?" I mean, it is a East Baltimore, well, basically a Baltimore accent. When I moved to Florida in 1992 with my now wife, I started bartending at this place called Damon's, a place for ribs. And I'm like, "Hey, can I get some water to wash these dishes?" And they started making fun of me. I swear to God, on my mother's grave, I sat in front of the mirror for 2 days going, water, wash, and got rid of my accent. Now I come back, I spend a day with my dad. I come home to my wife, and she's like, "What the hell are you talking? What did you just say?" It comes back quick. It comes back really quick.
Okay. What if you send out a good candidate and they said, "I don't want to hire someone who talks like that"? This is real. It was for Rochester, not Baltimore.
It would have to be such an egregious guttural accent. And I'll tell you this, I would never recruit a Southern Alabama, Southern Tennessee sales rep for Manhattan. I would never do that. I would never stick a guy who talks like me and talks fast like me and put me in a sales rep position down in Southern Alabama. Who am I going to fucking sell to? Right? Like, you got to think about those things, right? I had a search for a CFO, and I had 2 candidates, a guy from Texas, and the search was in Texas, and a guy from New York. And they liked the guy from New York better, and I told them not to hire him. And I said, "Why?" I said, "Because he's from New York. He's not going to relate to the people on your team. He's not going to relate to the area. And as soon as his wife gets there, and a year from now, when she can't get a piece of pizza at midnight and no place open on the weekends that has good food and good pizza, they're going to move back to New York. Stick with the Texas guy."
That's interesting, but it wasn't just an accent issue. I'm talking about an accent issue. Okay.
Yeah, and I agree with, it depends on the position.
I've never heard of such a thing. I think it's outrageous.
Again, why would you bring someone with a heavy Southern draw to a guy in Brooklyn?
Because he's got the know-how. He knows how to do the job.
He may have the know-how, but if it's a sales job or a forward-facing person's job, it's going to be much harder for him to integrate himself with the customers and with the team if he talks like that. It's just a fact of fucking life.
Well, aside from the way you spoke, you had no problem doing that job in Florida. Okay, you could do the job.
That was a bartending job, right? And it wasn't that big of a deal. They making fun of me. Customers weren't. You're talking about a place that's all types of tourists, so it didn't matter. But I will absolutely tell you, I do not see. There's good candidates, right? And you may have a great candidate that wants to move from Southern Alabama to Brooklyn. And you put them in a facing job with customers all the time, it's going to be very difficult. Like, it's just not worth the uphill battle when there's probably a guy who talks like me or is from Brooklyn that will do much better in that position.
Okay, hold on.
I
now,
truly believe
David,
that. That is, and I tell people that all the time. Don't take a guy from Brooklyn and place him in the South, and don't take some California guy and place him in like upstate New York. Like, you got to be careful. You just got to be careful. I'm sure a guy from Brooklyn who's a programmer could do fine in Southern Alabama, but I'm not going to make him an outside sales rep. And when you're talking about forward-facing roles, I don't care that they can communicate. They're not going to trust them. They're not going to feel like they're part of their area, their team. Like, you're a tribe. Thank you.
Think
you're
tribal.
a Southerner.
yeah.
Right? You're a Southerner. You don't know what it's like up here. And I used to get all the time, like down south. We don't care how you did it up north. I got told that all the time. Like, why is it taking so fucking long up north? We don't care how you do it up north, Yankee.
But I think it might be illegal to rule somebody out for their accent. Okay, I just think it is.
Accent is not a protected class, bro.
I think it is here. Okay, I think it is here. It is here. Okay, there you go. Let's do the ad for Tom. Now, Tom has two fabulous shows. Okay, and actually, Dave referenced them a little earlier. He said that a lot of your people, what did you say, are using Jobin, okay, when we were talking about the sourcing stuff. A lot of people, they go to the 12th, that's the main show, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time every Friday, the Recruiter Roundtable.com. It's a bunch of people get together and they talk tech more than we do here generally. Although I have some really good tech questions we didn't even get to. Okay. We'll do that next year. And he's got a combination show now on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Ask the Headhunter any question about that you want to put to a headhunter. This expert guy who you can see is very confident about what he knows and doesn't know. Okay. But also he's combined that with his applicant tracking system, his ATS show. So you can call on Tuesdays about Loxo or Jobin or any other ATS that you might have something to say about. Is that right? Did I make a good presentation, Tommy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dave, do you approve of my presentation?
Can I share my trailer I just made? That's why I was late.
Oh yeah, show us. Yeah. I'll put it up as a separate clip.
Can you hear it?
And it's absolutely free after that, okay? it's free.
Tommy, you should have put something about like your ending part where it's like the no animals have been hurt, Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe, all that stuff.
God, I will. That's a great idea. I could
make it hilarious. And in the credits, at least. In the credits at the end, you can probably add it.
Yeah.
Actually, that I used to do 15 years ago or so, ads like that for the Recruiting Animal Show. There was some kind of software you just put in the text, and it does all those kinds of. So you obviously have your own.
This is iMovie. This is iMovie. It took me. I literally took me like I don't know, 2 hours.
Tops. And they gave you the music as well. The music was the best part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so let's do an ad. So everybody, you got to go there. Okay, let's do an ad for David M. Marr. Do you have a pitch, Dave? I know nobody here has a pitch when I ask them. Can you do a little pitch on yourself?
Just recruiting and sourcing practitioner, 20 plus years, Greater Chicago area. Like to help people and stay on top of my
And
craft.
I've got a computer science degree. Isn't that what you told me at the beginning of the show?
I used to work in computers, yeah.
Yeah, why don't you say that? You got a computer science education, okay? I know something. I'm not just a recruiter. I'm a technical genius. David M. Marr, Tommy Pistachio Alessio, thanks for joining me on the final show of 2025. Bye, everybody.